You guys, that song there, I'd run it by Brother Caleb Wednesday night. Asked him if I could play this song that was just played. He said, sure, you know, he'd take care of it for me. So this morning I brought him in a CD. And it was a Stevens family CD where Brother Stevens sang this song. And, you know, I knew that God wanted this song sang tonight before my testimony here, because in our meeting in here, the Stevens family were scheduled to sing here on the 3rd, and they had to cancel out. So, you know, I feel that Satan was really fighting that song. And not only that, but the CD I brought in this morning of that song with the Stevens family, our CD player's out. So Brother Caleb come to me and said, can I just find someone else that sings it or whatever? I said, sure, you know, because I knew Satan was really fighting that song, and he didn't want it to be heard tonight. So, you guys, I'd like to testify for a second here. It's been about a year and a half ago or so, but a sister here in church, you know, I love her teachings and everything, Sister Sandra, and she's such a good speaker and teacher and everything. But she come up here and she said she had been hurt hearing a lot about people that wanted to just read in the New Testament a lot, you know, about what Jesus had to say. And she said to everybody that God wanted the whole Word read, you know. He wanted us to know all the Word of God. So I really started digging into the Old Testament once again. And, you know, this book right here, there's just too many things to preach on. It's too good. And, you know, the more I started reading about the early times and stuff, I just put myself in this place, you know, in the middle of this battle, and I can't wait to get to the next story or whatever. But I talked to Brother Fred a couple weeks ago on the phone, and he had a pretty powerful testimony about he was thinking about stepping down and everything, and I told him, I said, Brother Fred, you just got all over my word and everything, and he apologized, and I said, it's no big deal, but everybody knows I went on vacation out to Arizona, and before I went out there, I told my kids, there was 3 of them that I was going to be with, I went out there for 2 weeks, and I said, I'm not coming out there about you kids. You know, I raised y'all, and I know you, and I've seen you. And I said, this is for my grandchildren. I got to spend some time with my grandchildren and everything. Anyway, went out there and had a great time. But when I got back, about a week after I got back, they were just warring against each other, you know. My oldest one, he's unfriended me on Facebook. They just all hate each other now out there. And I told them, you know, I'll pray for you and everything, but I'm Dad. And they told me I was showing favoritism. And, you know, spending more time with this one, or whatever. And I was like, that's all a bunch of bull, you know. And anyway, like I said, my oldest unfriended me and my wife, and that's all okay. I'm good with it. I still love him, and I love them all. when I got back right before our last board meeting to approve the budget for the 2019 budget, for a week and a half or so, God was just really warring against me. I mean, I was wrestling with God in my spirit, and I was physically sick. Every time I come into this church, I'd have to go out front because, I just couldn't contain it and everything. I had some questions about the budget and stuff. And in myself, I was thinking, I'm not worthy to stand up and speak before these people in here. I didn't go to a major university like HHU, Brother Don. And I'm the old timer in there. God put it in me on these things needed changed and everything. I was like, God, I can't go in there and face these people and talk about these things. And he would not leave me alone about it. He wouldn't leave me alone about it. And you know how a wrestling match comes out with God. It always comes at him on top. But I prayed for a week and a half or so, and I just sought God diligently, and I was like, God, I looked at Moses. It says in the Bible that he had a heavy tongue. He told God he had a heavy tongue and heavy lips. And I was like, Lord, I got heavy tongue and heavy lips, and I can't speak before these people in here. And they're going to tell you have old timers and throw you out by the ears, And anyway, God answered one of my prayers early in the week. Sunday morning, come around, and I was like, God, this evening's going to be hard on me, And a text was sent out to the board members, and that was the prayer answer that I needed. I didn't have to speak or anything in here, and you guys, God gave me this word quite some time ago, and it's on mercy. And I'd like to go to Psalms 23 and 6. Brother Fred ought to know this real well. It says, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Y'all can sit down. I just thank God for his mercy. But like I said, I got reading a lot in the Old Testament, and I'd like to go to 1 Chronicles 21 and talk about a man that was after God's own heart, and that's King David. I really love this story about King David. I'm going to tell it in my own words. It says in the first verse that Satan stood up against Israel and provoked David to number Israel. That's like a census to us in this day and time. He wanted them to number Israel. And anyway, his seer, Joab, Satan had him do this. And David said to Joab, go out and number all the people in Judah and Israel. I want to know their number of them. And Joab's like, in one verse here, he tries to reason with King David, but, the king is the king. He's like, you're the man, So he went and had him numbered. And it says in verse 7 of chapter 21 that God was displeased with this thing. Therefore, he smote Israel. And Joab went to the Lord, and the Lord told him he wasn't happy, with King David. And in chapter 12, he sent Joab back to tell King David, I'm going to give you three choices. He says, either 3 years famine or 3 months to be destroyed by thy foes. That's 2 of them. Or while that sword of thine enemies overtake thee. Or else, this is the third, 3 days the sword of the Lord, even the pestilence in the land, the angel of the Lord destroying throughout all the coast of Israel. Now therefore, advise thyself what word I shall bring again to him that sent me. And King David heard this, and he was just beside himself. In 13, it says, and King David said unto Gad, I am in a great strait. Let me fall now into the hand of the Lord, for very great are his mercies. But let me not fall into the hand of man. He chose the mercies of the Lord, you guys, and still live the mercies of man. And angel of the Lord come in with his sword drawn and killed 70,000 Israelites. And God repented him and stayed him up over the city of Jerusalem. Told him to stay put. And the wise men and the priest and King David, they were in their sackcloth and just had their faces buried in the dirt of the streets and crying out to the Lord. King David said, Lord, have mercy on your children at least, I'm the one that made this decision to have them numbered. Deal with me and my family and my father's, instead of your children. So the angel quit slaying them, because David, he was a sinful man. He was a man of war. He had a lot of blood on his hands. He was an adulterer. He stole a man's wife. One of his friends had him sent to the front lines to essentially just be killed. He knew he was going to have him killed by doing that. But King David, when he sinned, he knew what to do. He went and asked for mercy from God every time. He asked for God's mercies. And mercy in the Greek is eleos. And it means compassion or forgiveness shown towards someone whom it is within one's power to punish or harm. That's my definition. And the synonyms, which means the same thing as mercy, or close to it, is leniency, clemency, compassion, grace, pity, charity, forgiveness, forbearance, humanity, mildness, soft-heartedness, tenderness, kindness, sympathy, tolerance, generosity. It's used in an expression or fear, as in begging for mercy. Y'all all know I come from out west. When I came here, I was on my knees in Winslow, Arizona, about 1,000 miles from here. And I asked God to have mercy on me. And He did. He told me to come out here like 18 years ago. And it's the best thing I ever done coming out here. In 2009, I had another experience. I fell out of my tree stand out here hunting. This time I was laying flat on my back with nobody around. And I asked for mercy once again from God. And He showed me mercy. He came from heaven. A mighty hand came from heaven. And I know it was God's hand. Do you have that picture? And picked me up and told me to rest. God's mercies are great, you guys. This hand that you see up here, God gave me this word some time ago. Actually, around September or October, my wife had found a hand similar to this online, where there's pictures of the hand of God. And God just never would give me the rest of my word about this hand. And I couldn't figure it out, you know. And I'm like, Lord, I know I'm supposed to speak on this hand. And He just never would put it in me. And then I got looking at this hand that I had told her. I said, this is the hand. This is the hand of God right here that picked me up. It was a hand holding a man. And I told her for months, this is the hand. And it wasn't the hand. You see, I thought that was me laying in the hand of God, but it wasn't. It was a different hand than this. It was God's left hand. And the one that I said, the one that come and picked me up was the right hand of God. And this is the one I chose to be put up. You know, the right hand of God, or the right hand, signifies power, authority. Even if you go before the judge, Brother Larry, he slams his gavel down with his right hand. And he's the man that's got to say whether you're going to jail or not. And who's seated at the right hand of God? Jesus. You guys, we can't get to God without going through Jesus. And He's at the right hand of God, and He's got all the power. He's the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords. I got one more deal in closing here. It's in Matthew. It says, enter ye in at the strait gate. For wide is the gate, And broad is the way that leadeth to destruction, and many there be which go in thereat, because strait is the gate, and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it. You guys, I'm an avid outdoorsman, and I read this and I was like, I was looking at a fence line, and I'm walking down a fence line, and it's a straight and narrow path, as this says here. And Satan's always on the other side saying, Junior, look here, the green pastures over here. It's really nice over here. See the green pastures. Always. He's always wanting to call you to the greener pastures, and it's not greener. And I found one thing. John says in Revelation, he'd rather you be hot or cold. Or you're lukewarm, he's going to spew you out of his mouth. You can't straddle and ride the fence either in this country, because it's going to scuff up the undercarriage. You know, Brother Larry? They got barbed wire here and T-posts and stuff. So, you guys, stay on this straight and narrow way here. And I love all y'all. God bless.
Amen. God's mercy. We've all needed it at one point in time in our lives. We've needed it in our past, and we continue to need it in our future. So many times that if it wasn't for His mercy, we wouldn't be here. Brother Caleb or Don, play. We've got some time tonight. Let's just think about the times that we've needed Him, and He's been there for us. How often that has been. And how many times is it going to be in the future? How many times are we going to get ourselves into a bad situation and ask Him to pull us out? The altars are open. He's here for you. We don't have to come to Him just when we need Him. We can come to Him anytime. He's the friend that's always there for us. In good times and in bad times. No matter what we're doing. He knows us better than we know ourselves.